Good morning and welcome to the news desk at 10 on NTA News 24. I am Noleen Abel-Ameh. Headlines. As International Women's Day is marked globally, women in leadership in a COVID-19 era dominates national discourse. No fire incident inside the presidential villa, presidency clarifies. Nigerians enjoined to build and not destroy their national heritage.
Rather than turning on each other, we should be banding together against our common enemies, the criminal elements whose true tribe is terror.
Scores of people die and about 600 others sustained injuries as Equatorial Guinea's military base is hit by an explosion. We begin the news with stories on Women's International Day. The euphoria of March 8th of every year, a day set aside to celebrate women in the air, is in the air. This year's celebration provides an ample opportunity to reflect on how President Muhammadu Buhari honors the women folk. Here is a checklist of the women in the present administration as outlined in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina.
The global celebration of International Women's Day highlights the economic, social and political advances made by women and girls all over the world, recognizing the critical role of women in governance structures, security and peace-building efforts, as well as in all aspects of life. President Muhammadu Buhari, since inception, has given priority to women participation in his government. At the moment, there are 7 women ministers holding sensitive ministries and working assiduously towards socio-economic development of Nigeria. Women remain a galvanizing force and continue to provide support for the men in all areas of development. The economy of Nigeria that is receiving such a boost now is headed by a woman, Zainab Ahmed, who combines finance with budget and national planning. The head of the civil service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi, is leading the engine room of governance, supported by many women, special advisors, and senior special assistants and special assistants in the presidency. The president did Nigerian women proud, addressing the challenges threatening the efforts to promote the empowerment of women, gender equality, and balance in all aspects of national life. This is manifest in the large number of women chief executives heading various organizations and agencies of government. Even though the 8th of March is the day set aside by the United Nations for this celebration, every nation is enjoined globally to observe the day and draw a locally relevant theme from the main international theme. The international theme for 2020 is Choose to Challenge.
President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has felicitated with Nigerian women as they celebrate this year's International Women's Day. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoni, Senator Lawan described the theme of this year's celebration, Choose to Challenge, as apt in reminding society of the pivotal roles women play in the family and nation building and the need to pay attention to the challenges confronting them. He noted that Nigerian women also deserve support and encouragement to participate without discrimination or inhibitions in governance and public office in general. The Senate President said the National Assembly will always promote and defend the rights and interests of the Nigerian women and fight anything that stands against their well-being and aspirations. Part of events listed out to commemorate this year's International Women's Day are religious activities to appreciate and seek the blessings of the Almighty on behalf of Nigerian women and the nation. The Minister of Women Affairs, flanked by other women, were at the Holy Trinity Catholic Church, Maitama, to thank God for the journey so far. Momso Demiandati has details.
Despite the pandemic and many challenges faced by women the world over, these ones have been spared. To witness yet another Women's Day, a privilege worth celebrating. The women were supported by the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma. While enumerating and counting their many blessings and divine interventions in turbulent times, the women are now more determined to see that the 50-50 place of a woman in every sphere of life becomes a reality.
Working with the parties' constitutional review committees to amend the constitution so that we can have more women to participate effectively in the next coming election.
For this year, the women are considering their role in leadership and zero tolerance to discrimination. In Abuja, Momso Demiandati, NTA News.
International Women's Day is a global event instituted to celebrate the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality, as well as highlighting the problems women face in day-to-day life and in the professional environment. In this special report, Basi Taikwan takes a look at the 2021 celebration in the face of COVID-19 pandemic.
International Women's Day is traced back to 1909. With the first gathering in 1911, supported by over 1 million women. Since then, it has been celebrated world over to help forge a gender-equal world. Collectively, we can all help create a peaceful society devoid of violence and promote the economic growth of our women.
Let every woman lift another woman up. It's not about how many women are in position, but how many women all of us individually and collectively can lift up, especially the women in the rural areas.
This year's theme, Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World, highlights the challenges posed by the pandemic in day-to-day activities of women.
What is the narrative for women in Nigeria? Because the women in Nigeria will lead and blaze the trail for Africa and for the world. And here I'm saying this because it is not often that you will get so many women at the helm of affairs that are Nigerian.
The theme also urges everyone to recognize the leadership skills and potentials of women towards moving the world closer to gender equality. And for Nigerian women, it was time to celebrate one of their own who is leading the global business world.
The first female, the first African to head the WTO, a daughter of the sun, in the person of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. We'll continue to celebrate you too.
Gender advocates say increasing visibility is key while fighting inequality in the society. The campaign theme, #I chose to challenge, comes with a question: how will you help to forge a gender equal world? Basi Taikwan, NTA News.
Now joining us to talk more on the International Women's Day is Dr. Chioma Uzo Udebunam, founder Gender World Institute. Madam, happy Women's Day.
Same here. Thank you.
All right. Now, what has been your experience on the field? How much progress has the Nigerian woman made in the last 5 years?
There has been tremendous achievement, I must say, because the advocacy was really heightened. So I would say, well, maybe 45%, which for me is a plus, compared to like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And we that are on the advocacy arena will continue to push and even push harder. It's been so far so good, so far so good.
All right, that's it. Recent information from UNICEF indicates that 10 million additional girls are at the risk if child marriage due to COVID-19. And what can you say to this? How do we get out of this?
Yeah, in fact, it's a big, big problem. And that is why we keep talking about legislation. This is where legislation comes to play. Child marriage. Why child marriage? Why would you want to give out a child at the age of 10? Why would you want to give out a child at the age of 12, 15? Don't you think that girl child has a future? You look around as a father, as a parent, as a mother globally, and you see women are actually trying to make a mark here and there. Wouldn't you love your daughter to be one of them? So if we have a legislation that is workable, in fact, I would say not just in Nigeria, but globally, that says no more child marriage. No to child marriage. And every girl must go to school until you attain the age of 18 or 20. I think that's the way to start. That's the way to, that's a step in the right direction. But if we just leave it this way, of course, the traditional norms takes, precedence. Poverty takes precedence. But even when you are poor and the government says, all right, we're going to have free education, or perhaps free education for girls, I swear, is the right step in the right direction.
So women have been exposed to several issues. Rape and domestic violence, for instance, have been a serious issue for some time now. Yeah. What is really the situation right now?
Last year it was something else. And why it was so much, we had rape all over, is because girls have started speaking out. Ab initio, it was silence. It was like a taboo. But because of the advocacy, girls, parents are now speaking out, and the culprits are now made to face the law. So I believe that if we keep pressing further, if the advocacy on this rape, just like I have 2 books on that. I have The Girl Child and Her Sexuality, and then I have Rape, Why? So if we keep, talking about the evils, and then this law now that is taking, because there's this legislation on culprits, is enforced, assuming all the 36 states of the Federation enforces the Child Right Act, definitely it's going to be reduced to the barest minimum. But, initially it was like people were not speaking. Nobody comes out to say this, that, about rape. It's discussed in an enclosed door, enclosed. Should I say it's swept under the carpet? But now you can see, almost on daily basis, people are speaking out. Even those that were raped some 10, 15, 20 years ago are all coming out now to speak out, because the environment is cozier, the environment is better, and then those taboos, those traditional norms have all, been eradicated. But we keep forging ahead.
All right, talking about speaking, just like you said, are institutions in Nigeria strong enough to help women get out of these issues completely?
When you talk about institution, we're talking about the CSOs, because you see, it's mainly the CSOs that are on the front burner. And there's the CSOs now, NGOs, are the ones pushing. Though we have the legislation, but most times the problem is the political will to enforce that. All right, we have the institutions, we have the legislative arm, we have the law court, we have the police, we have the civil defense. Just name it. We have all that it takes. But the thing is, do we have really the political will to enforce it? Take, for instance, if a highly placed person is involved in rape, and then the person is called to book, right? The person is mentioned. Can you actually can you do the right thing without saying, this is the boss, this is the big man, this is, how can you, no, and that is it. So if we call a spade, we'll definitely get there. But we're getting there.
All right.
Slowly but surely.
Hopefully we will get there. Thank
Definitely.
you. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Choma Uzo Odebunam, for coming on the News at 10.
Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you.
All right, the News at 10 is reaching you on NTA News 24. Up ahead, 500 kilograms of psychotropic substances seized in Kano. Details are still ahead.
Let's blow your trumpets. Advertise on NTA News 24, located at the headquarters premises of the NTA, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Our rates are affordable. Our reach is far and wide. We are on DSTV Channel 419, Star Times Channel 101, GoTV Channel 46, Free TV Channel 703. Please call Henry on 0803-379-0884. NTA News 24. News and more news.
Thank you for staying with us on the News at 10 on NTA News 24. Now, the plight of widows and vulnerable women continues to gain more attention from volunteers following the onset of COVID-19 and the harsh economic realities that followed. In commemoration of this year's International Women's Day, a non-governmental organization, Helpline Foundation for the Needy, is empowering indigent women with skills acquisition and financial aid to cushion the effects of the pandemic. Oluseya Debo tells us more.
Vulnerable women targeted through this project will have access to better employment opportunities through various skill-building workshops and sessions with focus on production of handbag, azar, and room freshener, as well as liquid soap, among others. Rebecca Samuel is a widow of 4 years and mother of 5. She said she has been fending for the family with the frying of being cared, and this has not been sufficient for the family.
Today I can't learn hazard. So it will help me to settle. If I go house by the grace of God, next week I will start this hazard so that I should add it to Accra.
Esther Kendi was one of the beneficiaries of the program in 2017, but now she is one of the facilitators, motivating about 100 women picked across the FCT, Nasarawa and Niger State.
By the time they go back to their communities and then they are able to train the women in these communities, we can see that it has a multiplier effect that ensures that more hundreds of women are actually empowered within a very limited period of time.
The belief of the founder of the Helpline Foundation for the Needy, Dr. Jumi Amaju and partners, is that more concentration is to be given to women at the grassroots.
Based on the needs assessment that we carried out to ensure that the skills we are impacting in them is what they can actually go to their community to put to use and also have their market within their environment.
Women do not have the heart to leave their children to roam around doing nothing. But if you empower her, she can be able to achieve a lot and her home will be at peace.
The International Women's Day 2021 is with the hashtag Choose to Challenge, and the commemoration of the day is fixed for 8th March.
I choose to challenge all forms of discrimination against women and girls.
The theme for this year is Women in Leadership Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adiagbo, NTA News.
Away from women's story to other issues now. Many Nigerians, as well as persons outside the country, have been expressing concerns over reports of a fire incident in Aso Rock Villa, the seat of the Nigerian government. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu says there was no fire inside the presidential villa. According to the release in the evening of Saturday, March 6, a fire broke out, burning shrubs between the outer wire fence and walls surrounding the villa, precisely in the area between the villa and the barracks towards Asokoro. The fire has been speculated might have started from a passerby dropping a burning cigarette. The fire service will ascertain the reason for it when they complete their investigation. It suffices to say that this bushfire, which started and ended outside the perimeter walls of the villa, was seamlessly contained by fire stations of the State House and then one nearby from the Federal Fire Service. No loss of life, no loss whatsoever to building and property was recorded. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has commiserated with the victims of the fire disaster at the Potiskum Central Market in Yobe State. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoni. Senator Lawan sympathizes with those whose stalls, wares and other valuables were affected by the fire incident. The Senate President thanked Allah that no life was lost, as he commended the Department of Fire Service for the timely intervention of its officials that prevented further spread. Lawan, however, called on the relevant agencies in the state to take steps to improve fire prevention measures in markets across the state with a view to forestalling recurrence of a fire disaster in the state. The task of building a society desired by all Nigerians is exciting and requires the contribution of all Nigerians, as the challenge for everyone is to build, not to destroy, to add to, not to take away. These are the words of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the opening session of an international conference on patriotism, security, governance and national development. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Speaking on the need for citizens to unite in building a better society, Vice President Osinbajo says the task of nation building is exciting and it may even appear messy as the process continues, especially in a multi-ethnic and multi-religious nation like Nigeria.
Rather than turning on each other, we should be banding together against our common enemies, the criminal elements whose true tribe is terror and whose only creed is criminality. The truth of the matter is that there are far more of us and far more Nigerians who are interested in ensuring that this country remains one, and that this country, that we give ourselves a fair chance of working together.
The Vice President also restates his advocacy for the decentralization of the police force.
On his own part, the Nigerian police is putting a new impetus behind community policing, and this is already being implemented across the states of the Federation. But we must accept that there is a need for greater decentralization of our police force. And I, of course, have been a frequent advocate of state policing, and I believe very seriously that this is ultimately the way we must go.
On steps taken to address the perennial crisis between farmers and herders, the Vice President said the federal and state governments are committed to the implementation of the National Livestock Transformation Plan as developed by consensus of governors under the auspices of the National Economic Council. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The Director General of the All Progressives Congress, Salihu Muhammad Lukman, has advised the organized labor to seek decentralization of the minimum wage issue in the country. In a statement on the issue of true federalism and labor matters, the Director General is of the opinion that each state should be free to decide on its level of remuneration based on its resources and productivity. The Director General of the All Progressives Congress Governors Forum says a centralized framework for minimum wage legislation based on using the financial capacity of federal government to fix national minimum wage is hardly informed by economic indices of work output across the country and reflecting all sectors of the economy. He advised NLC to desist from using the option of strike as weapon to win concessions and agreements in view of the recent declaration by the NLC that, should the need arise, it has empowered the National Administrative Council to declare and enforce a national strike action, especially if the legislators continue on Renew's path of moving the national minimum wage from the exclusive to the concurrent legislative list. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Kano State Command, has employed a robust strategy in its war against drug abuse. Yahanasu Hassan Barrow reports that the command has, in less than 24 hours, intercepted more than 500 kilograms of psychotropic substances in the state.
Since his assumption into office early 2021, the new National Drug Law Enforcement Agency boss, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, promised to reposition the agency for an efficient fight against illicit drug trafficking in Nigeria. This is exactly what the command in Kano is doing to ensure the mission of the NDLEA chairman. During the operation, psychotropic substances have been confiscated alongside 32 drug users at different hideouts. 18-year-old Suleiman Sadiq is among those apprehended, says he has been into drug for 3 years.
Whenever I take in drugs, I feel like above everybody, but I promise not to take it again.
In line with this new tempo and the hopes which General Marwa has put in the minds of NDL officers over the country, the Kano Command will not be an exception. We have always been keeping the tempo very high.
The narcotic officers, according to the commandant, will continue to fight the menace which has eaten deep into the social fabric of Nigeria, but however, calls for concerted efforts between sister agencies, traditional rulers, and religious leaders. It is expected that people like Suleiman, who is one out of the 15 million drug addicts in the country, will be rehabilitated. In Kano, Yahana Sambaro, NTA News.
The news at 10 is reaching you live on NTA News 24. Ahead, INEC reacts to calls for a review of constituencies.